Hey everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this True Reviews today. I want to do something a little bit different today. Instead of just straight out reviewing the most recent movie I saw, I want to talk a lot about what's coming up for us in the future. So I just recently saw Beauty and the Beast. Took me a little bit to see it because our theater has just been jam-packed. And our local theater here does this cool thing where every Tuesday, all movies are $5, no matter what movie or what time you go. So I always try and wait for that because I am a poor, struggling college student. But I saw it this past week, and I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I think that there were definitely some problems with it. I don't think it was a perfect film by any means. But one of the things I want to talk about, instead of just reviewing Beauty and the Beast, is I want to talk about the live-action Disney remake. So this would be the 5th live-action Disney remake that we've had, not including sequels. We started off with Alice in Wonderland. We've gotten Maleficent, Cinderella, The Jungle Book, Alice in Wonderland 2, which I don't really count, and then now Beauty and the Beast. So one of the things that I want to talk about is the good that is coming from these live-action Disney movies. First off, the casting. So far, I have yet to see Maleficent. That came out while I was on my mission, and so I didn't get the chance to see it and just never have since then. But from what my wife has said, it's a okay movie with Angelina Jolie just killing it. And that's kind of what I've heard is kind of the general consensus, that Angelina Jolie really does well in that movie. I thought the casting in Cinderella was really well done. I also thought the girl that plays Alice in the Alice in Wonderland movie did a really good job. And then, of course, the Jungle Book movie had amazing casting with a newcomer coming in as Mowgli, having Ben Kingsley and Bill Murray as Baloo and Bagheera, and Idris Elba as Shere Khan. A lot of really great casting there. Beauty and the Beast, again, hit it hard with great casting. Emma Watson, who I thought did a wonderful job in her acting. I didn't think her singing was that great, but her acting was really good. Luke Evans, I thought, was a really good Gaston, and Josh Gad as LeFou was near perfect. And then we had, Dan Stevens as the Beast, who I thought was really good. That guy's just blowing up, which I'm excited about. I think he's a great actor. And so casting has been great in these movies so far. I also want to talk about the music, especially with Beauty and the Beast. I thought the music was really well done. Like I said, I didn't think Emma Watson's singing was great. It sounded very auto-tuned at times, especially in the opening song of Bonjour. I really noticed there was a lot of auto-tune in that, which I didn't care for. But I've really enjoyed the music. I liked the way they implemented music in the Jungle Book as well, with having it just kind of be a part of the film without having these like large musical numbers like they do in Beauty and the Beast. I really liked the way they incorporated that music and the way that Jon Favreau directed that film. I also have liked the look and the cinematography. These movies are beautiful. The scenes in the Beast's castle and Beauty and the Beast were amazing. The set design was so beautiful. The Jungle Book, of course, looks incredible. The visual effects in that movie are just astounding. There were so many times where my wife and I would look at each other and we just couldn't believe that wasn't a real wolf that was on screen at that time. So the look and cinematography have been great. So one of the issues, though, that I feel like Jungle Book was exempt from, but I felt this was the case with Cinderella, and I felt this was the case with Beauty and the Beast as well, is this idea of capturing nostalgia. Nostalgia is huge right now, especially for the 80s and 90s, which is why we have live-action Ninja Turtle movies, why we just got a Power Rangers movie, and why we have now 5 Transformers movies, which just seems ridiculous. G.I. Joe movies, all these things are coming, and they're just banking on nostalgia, which can be very successful. One of the best uses of nostalgia I've seen recently was Stranger Times. I wasn't raised in the 80s, but I do love a lot of the movies from the 80s. So I love movies like Ghostbusters and E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, The Goonies, that 80s sci-fi genre that Stranger Things borrows heavily from. The soundtrack is ripped straight out of a John Carpenter horror movie, which is awesome. And Stranger Things does something really cool. Instead of trying to constantly remind you of those things that you liked in the 80s, they capture the essence of what it was like to be a kid in the 80s. Of course, I don't know what that was like, but based on what I've seen in movies like Goonies or E.T. or whatever, I love that aspect. I love that that the Duffer Brothers understood that they weren't trying to recreate E.T. or when you watch the Goonies. They're trying to do something new, but set it in a time that we all love and that we all remember. And that is where capturing nostalgia is done very, very well. Jungle Book, I felt like, did a really good job of this as well, as I talked about how the way they implemented the songs and the music. I noticed that in the opening titles of the Jungle Book, they used the same score as they do in the original animated film, which was really cool. It immediately drew me into the movie, and I was engaged right from the get-go because I recognized that melody. And one of the things that I felt like Jungle Book did really well, similar to Stranger Things, is they capture the essence of that movie. He was able to make a fresh new film with a story that's very old, and that was what these live action remakes should be. Now, one of the things about Beauty and the Beast that I really liked was the new concepts that were brought in. I loved the idea that because we had a longer run time, we got to flesh out the Beast's character quite a bit. I liked being able to learn more about him and his backstory. I liked that they aged up the character quite a bit. I liked that he was educated, that we learned about his past, about his parents and things like that, because those are things that, because of the runtime, were not in the original film. And so being able to have that in this new one, it really makes you connect with the Beast on a whole different level that you're not able to in the original because you don't know too much about him. Same with Belle, as we're able to look at her backstory, see what happened with her mother, and learn why her father moved her to this poor provincial town. You know, we learned those things in this movie, and I loved that. The song that the Beast sings after Belle leaves to go help her father, the song Evermore, that was like my favorite part of the entire movie. I absolutely loved that. It was a new song, and it was beautifully done. The Beast kind of running around the castle trying to find a window so you can look out and see Belle as she rides away on her horse. I loved that scene, and I've been listening to that song constantly since I've seen it. I just absolutely love it. So the new elements that were brought in I thought were done really well. My problem is that the elements from the original film were not executed as well as I thought they should have. For example, one of my favorite scenes of the original is the scene when Beast brings Belle into the library, and he opens up all the curtains, and he has her keep her eyes closed, and then he tells her to open them, and she just sees this vast library, and she's just so amazed. And that's a really big turning point, and because it shows that to Belle that the Beast is kind and that he cares about her and he cares about what she likes. In this, that library scene is very like the Beast comes in and she says that she likes reading, and so he goes into the library to get her a book, and she's like blown away by how many books he has, and he's just kind of like, yeah, whatever, like it's not that big a deal. And that was like so disappointing to me. I was so let down by that scene because that's such a great story beat in the original that I was really looking forward to how they were going to recreate that, and it totally fell flat for me. I also loved the fact that LeFou, who I thought was played excellently by Josh Gad, I love the idea that he switches sides at the end, and there's that scene where he grabs Mrs. Potts and uses her like as a weapon on the other townsfolk. I loved that idea that he kind of was able to recognize that Gaston had gone a little bit crazy. I really liked that. So the new stuff I thought was great, but the problem is these original elements were not executed to the best of their ability, which was really unfortunate for me because I was someone who loved the original film so much. It's probably my third favorite Disney film from the 90s era, with number one, of course, being Lion King, 2 Aladdin, and then third's probably Beauty and the Beast. And I'm a big fan of that original, so I was kind of let down by a lot of the scenes that I was really looking forward to. But as a whole, I thought it was great. I thought it was good. And I want to talk now about like the live action pipeline, what we've got coming down. I got a list of them because there are a lot. So next up, which I think is coming out later this year, is a Mary Poppins sequel, which will star Emily Blunt and Lin-Manuel Miranda, who's coming hot off of Moana and Hamilton and things like that. And I mean, sure, this will probably be great. I think Emily Blunt needs to be in more things. I think she's super talented. We then have a Mulan live action directed by Nikki Caro, who was the director of Whale Rider. And then this next one is a bit of a touchy subject for me because, like I said just now, this is my favorite Disney movie and probably my favorite animated movie of all time, and probably in my top 10 favorite movies of all time, and that's The Lion King. It's going to be directed by Jon Favreau, so we're looking at a Jungle Book-esque take on The Lion King. James Earl Jones is going to reprise his role as Mufasa, which is totally great. Donald Glover, who you may know from Community or from his music career as Childish Gambino, he's going to be playing Simba. And then there was a story that came out just yesterday that Disney was looking at Beyonce to voice Nala, which would be incredible. I don't know if they'll be able to afford her, but that could be really cool. I feel just like very kind of mixed feelings about all these, because I just don't know how they're going to turn out, because they could either turn out great like The Jungle Book and really do give us a fresh take, but something like The Lion King, which to me is a near perfect, if not a perfect animated film, and I don't know how you're going to do that better in a live action setting, which I mean, it's not really going to be live action because it'll just be CGI, but I'm just not sure what new you're going to bring to the table that will make people excited to see that again. I'm not sure. We also have a Maleficent 2 with Angelina Jolie coming back. We have a Dumbo live action with Tim Burton at the helm, which I think is really weird. We have an Aladdin live action with Guy Ritchie as the director, who has he's got a King Arthur movie coming out next month, and he's done the Sherlock Holmes movies with Robert Downey Jr. We have an Oliver Twist movie starring Ice Cube as Fagin, the pickpocket leader, and I'm not sure what that'll be. We have Christopher Robin, which is going to be directed by Mark Forrester, who did Finding Neverland, which is a film about the creation of Peter Pan. So I don't know if that's kind of the take they're wanting to do, sort of a non-fiction-esque story. He also directed Quantum of Solace, which is arguably the worst, not arguably, it is the worst of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies. Then we have Tink, starring Reese Witherspoon, which would be about Tinkerbell. James and the Giant Peach by Sam Mendes, who directed Skyfall, which was arguably the best Daniel Craig James Bond movie, but then he also did Spectre, which I thought really fell flat. We have a Cruella standalone movie with Emma Stone. I don't know if she committed to that before or after La La Land, but I wonder if that's something she'll stay with. And then other ones that don't have anyone attached to them are Pinocchio, Little Mermaid, and Sword in the Stone. So we have it looks like that's all we're going to be getting from Disney for the next few years, which is disappointing for me, because Disney animation as of late has been killing it. We've got big numbers like Tangled, Frozen, Wreck-It Ralph, which is getting a sequel, and Frozen's getting a sequel. Tangled now has a TV show on Disney Channel. We had Zootopia this year, which was incredible. Moana, which I absolutely loved. So Disney animation has been killing it when it comes to original stories. But for whatever reason, I would rather have a live action movie of a new story. Take one of the stories that they're making for these Disney animated movies and throw that into the live action universe. I'd much rather have new original IPs than having Disney just going back through their catalog and remaking the things that made the most money. I am cautiously optimistic with the Disney live action universe. I truly hope that these movies turn out well. I am a huge Disney fan. I grew up, I think that was the only thing I ever watched growing up were Disney movies, and my fingers are crossed so tightly that Disney can capitalize on this nostalgia and make some good, fresh movies with some things, with some elements from the originals that will get people into the seats. You know, obviously Disney is a money-making machine, and Beauty and the Beast has been making so much money. I saw a week and a half after it came out, and our theater was packed. They make so much money, so Disney is going to continue to make them because they know they make money that way, and they can bring in all of these new these kids whose parents grew up on these movies. They can then have those parents bring their kids to these new live action movies, which is great. I love that. I love that I get to see that my sisters are taking their kids to Beauty and the Beast, and that now my nieces and nephews are getting introduced to these movies in a new way, and I think that's great because these are really great stories. I just really hope that for my sake and the age of people that grew up with these movies, that Disney can capture on what made the original special instead of just trying to make shot-for-shot remake. Cautiously optimistic. I really hope things go well. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like, share, and subscribe this video. The more likes and subscribes I get, the more likely I will to get more likes and subscribes from new people that will be searching out videos and things like that. Also, I just want to kind of open this up, either like on Facebook in the comments, on Instagram in the comments, or on this video in the comments. What do you guys think? about the Disney live action universe, and what has you excited? There's a lot of movies coming down the pipeline, a lot of movies that connect well with a lot of people as when they were kids. So what are you most excited about? And what movie do you hope they remake? My biggest one was Aladdin. I was really looking forward for Aladdin remake, and so that's something that is going to be coming, and I hope it does well. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. And again, be sure to just like, share, and subscribe to this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.